Ethics in taxonomy. Ethics for taxonomists and user communities. Researchers. Research is one of those highly complex and subtle activities, usually remain quite unformulated in the minds of those who practice them. This is probably why most scientists think that it is not possible to give away formal instruction in how to do research. Additionally, training in research must be largely self-training to a greater extent, so preferably with the guidance of an experienced scientist in the handling of the actual investigation. So scientific research, which is simply the search for new knowledge, appears especially to people who are individualists and their method vary from one person to another. A policy followed by one scientist A policy followed by one scientist may not be suitable for another, and different methods are required in different branches of science. However, there are some basic principles and mental techniques that are commonly used in most types of investigation, at least in the biological sphere. Honesty and morals as the first step. Honesty and morals are the first step in all scientific researches, and researcher must consider it in all stages of a scientific work. The role and importance of accuracy and honesty in taxonomy and systematics is more than other biological sciences. For having the honesty in scientific researches, learning the principles of ethics is needed for all the researchers and students. Every branch of science has a set of ethics to be followed. Ethics in taxonomy is only a part of the ethics in science as a whole. User communities who seek help from taxonomists also should follow this ethics. Taxonomist and user community. For taxonomists, there are certain ethical considerations which are generally recognized among scientists. One of the most important is that in reporting an investigation, an author is under an obligation to give due credit to previous work which he has drawn upon and to anyone who has assisted materially in the investigation. A serious scientific sin is to steal someone's ideas or preliminary results given in the course of conversation and to work on them and report them without obtaining permission to do so. This is rightly regarded as little better than common thieving and have been heard a repetitive offender referred to as the scientific bandit. He who transgresses in this way is not likely to be trusted again. Another improper practice, which unfortunately is not as rare as one might expect, is for the director of research to annex most of the credit for work which he has only supervised by publishing it under point authorship in his own name first. The person whose name is published first is referred to as the senior author, but senior in this case means the person who is responsible for most of the work, and not he who is senior by virtue of the post he holds. Most directors are often interested in encouraging their junior workers than in getting credit themselves. Complete honesty is, of course, imperative in scientific work, as Kramer in 1896 said. In the long run, it pays the scientist to be honest, not only by not making false statements, but by giving full expression to facts that are opposed to his views. Moral slovenliness is visited with far severe penalties in the scientific and the business world. It is useless presenting one's poor work in the most favorable light, or the hard facts are sure to be revealed later by other investigators. The experimenter has the best idea of the possible errors in his work. He should report sincerely that what he has done, and when necessary indicate where mistakes have been arisen. If an author finds out he cannot later substantiate some results he has reported, he should publish a correction to save others either being misled or put into trouble of repeating the work themselves only to learn that a mistake has been made. The publishing of experimental results and observations so that they are available to others and open to criticism is necessary for advancement of knowledge. Secrecy is contrary to the best interest and spirit of science. It prevents the individual contributing to further progress. It usually means that he or his employer is trying to exploit for their own gain some advance made by building on the knowledge which others have freely given. Personal secrecy is laboratory after years, but subject to restrictions and not infrequently shown by workers who are afraid that someone else will steal their preliminary result and bring them to fruition and publish before they themselves are able to do so. This form of temporary secrecy can hardly be regarded as a breach of scientific ethics, but also understandable. It is not commendable for free interchange of information and ideas as to the advance of science. Nevertheless, information given in confidence must be respected as such as not handed on to others. A traveling scientist visiting various laboratories may himself be perfectly honorable in not taking advantage of unpublished information he is given, but may inadvertently hand on such information to a less scrupulous individual. The traveler can best avoid this risk by asking not to be told anything that is wished to be kept confidential, or it is difficult to remember what is for restricted distribution and what is not. Even in the scientific world, unfortunately, one occasionally encounters national jealousies. These are manifested by lacking of appreciation or acknowledgement of work done in other countries. Not only is this to be deployed as a quite inflexible branch of ethics and the international spirit of science, but it rebounds on the offenders, often to the detriment of themselves and their country. Obligatory peer reviewing is one of the most worshipped fetishes. This procedure is to guarantee high standards of published work, have been repeated again and again to the point of boredom, but without any serious substantiation of its positive role. The cooperation between the science specialists, teams, countries, etc., are absolutely necessary. The saving of own data is not pleasant. A scientist who is working on any topic should try to contact more other person whose data can be used for the study, and surely everything depends on communication. Open communication, better work. The keeping of data saving in own shell can close to such person and doors for other cooperation of in the future. Not only the taxonomists, user communities who seek help from taxonomists should know some of the ethics they have to follow. So these are for user community. Some of these are given below. Ask prior permission before sending specimens to taxonomist. If he is busy or out of station, wait for some time to send the material till he completes its ongoing work. Then repeatedly sending reminders for speedy identification extra be avoided after politely stating how important the identification is for his urgent work. Return at least some of the specimens of his choice. Since most specialists identify specimens for free of charge, it is precious and sometimes expected that the sender of specimen to allow of certain them or retain them in his collection. There is only a small compensation for the free service by the specialist. If there is any new taxon identified by the specialist, he has every right to publish the description of the new taxon. Hence, it is inappropriate on the part of the sender of specimens to publish the taxonomic description of the new species or genus before the specialist does it. The center can at the most request the specialist to publish the new name and description as early as possible so that it can be validated and used for further work. Specimens must be packed properly while dispatching them to the taxonomist, otherwise specimens get badly damaged and may lose its taxonomic character. Sending unsorted materials containing several groups to a specialist must be avoided. Then informational hosts, localities, seasons, etc. of the specimens to the taxonomist useful for the species identification. Send sufficient number of specimens. Some centers usually send only very few specimens to the specialist even if they have plenty of specimens to spare, and acknowledge the taxonomist for his help while publishing papers mentioning the determination made by the taxonomist. Keep following ethical guidelines while doing research.